So today we're looking at the Raptors trade deadline guide. So the Raptors trade deadline is really much around the corner, and I wanted to make a trade deadline for this team and how they're doing. So where Toronto stands, they're basically 12th in the East. They're 4 of 19 on the road, and they're 8 of 12 in their last 10 games. And they just came off a 5-game win streak, and they're looking towards the lottery for a top 5 pick. So you're going for the guys like Cooper Flag, Ace Bailey, and the rest of them. So the Raptors trade assets that you guys have now on the screen, you have Chris Boucher who's a $10.8 million contract, you have Bruce Brown who's at $23 million, you have Davion who's $6.5, and you have Jakob who is basically a $19.5 million contract in the next 2 years. So if you want to move him, you still can look at that. For teams that are generating interest, it can be teams like the Lakers, the Pistons, the Nuggets, the Clippers for some of these players, and the list goes on, right? So if you're looking at these players, those are some teams you want to throw around. So those are some names you can put in there. When you look at the Toronto Raptors and their pick, they don't owe any picks to no team in the NBA. The Pacers pick in 2026 is top 4 protected, so if it falls out of top 4, it's theirs. Yeah, 7 second rounders out of their own, and they own all their first round picks. So the draft pick chest that the Raptors have is pretty much sustainable, and it goes further on more into the future. When you look at players that the Raptors can get, these can be guys like Andrew Wiggins, Pat Connaughton, Brandon Ingram, Julian Strasser, and they can also get some second and first round picks depending on first rounders if they trade Jakob Porto or anybody else. But at the same time, the Raptors, they do have a lot of options, and if I'm them, I'm looking into a lot of negotiations with other teams and seeing what I can get for the best of the best. But I really think they're probably going to go all in for Brandon Ingram. So if I'm Toronto, this is what I'm looking at for players that they can get. When you look at the Raptors and the chances of making them play in, they're only 3.5 games back. So they are behind teams like the Chicago Bulls, the 76ers, and they're tied to Nets for the same record for the 12th spot in the East. So at the same time, I wonder what the team's going to do, but at the same time, their chance of making the play-in are pretty slim. Though I don't think they should do it, but if the play-in comes around, they want to do it instead of tanking, by all means, go ahead. But overall, looking at this team as even if they make the play-in, I really think the Raptors need to start tanking. They need to get more young players along with expiring contracts, and they need to trade all the expiring contracts, whether it's picks or good role players that come along the way. So that's just my thoughts there. But really and truly, I think Toronto's a good fan base. They have a lot of assets, but let's look at some trades that they can cook up here if the trade deadline was today. When you look at some trades the Raptors can do, they can trade for Brandon Clark by giving them Bruce Brown for the Grizzlies perspective. Then for the next trade, you can trade Bruce Brown again for Isaiah Stewart and Marcus Sasser. Or you can call up the Nuggets and trade Chris Boucher for Zeke Nash, Dario Saric, and Julian Strasser. With some picks, you might have to go around. But these guys, for your audience that you're watching, you can work around this. The next trade I found was for Davion Mitchell. So basically, I'm trading players like Wendell Moore and Marcus Sasser for Toronto to receive for Davion Mitchell as it's expiring. Or you can also call up the Bucks and trade Pat Connaughton for Davion Mitchell straight up. With some picks to work around this, y'all can sort the pick situations, but I think looking at the Raptors' assets, these are players that they could ask for. So that's the end of my video, and if you guys enjoyed this video and want more, just leave a like on this video, and we're on the road to 600, so let's hit that goal ASAP.